I was irritable AF. I would swear at the fridge door. Everything was wrong. Now, maybe I am in the dumps for a few days or a week, but I bounce back. I know how to get my feet back on the ground. Where was all of that turmoil that I was feeling before? Who don't have to feel it now?
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast, ideas flow,
In
but
today's
never.
episode, we're talking about unpacking high functioning burnout, somatic tools for real time calm, beyond the talk therapy, the three pillars of lasting change, and peeling emotional layers.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Hello and welcome to Ramblings of a Busy Mind. In this episode, I have a special guest, and I have to look it up because as normally I'm scrambling names. Georgie Hunt Barnwell, is that correct?
That's correct. That's me.
So, Georgie, you are also Nova Scotia,
Yes, I
on
am.
the further end down,
Yes,
farther
I'm in
away.
beautiful, beautiful Lunenburg.
Nice. Are you originally from there?
I'm not. I'm from the center of the universe, Ontario.
Ah,
But
yeah, you could call that.
I have been in Nova Scotia for 30 years and I love it.
Yeah, for me, it's 20 years here now. Home is here.
Yeah.
So you well, you are a mindset, emotional success coach and a master EFT practitioner. And what I love most, an eternal optimist. What did it take to get there? Especially the
What
last
is
part.
That's a good question because I certainly have didn't start out my journey as an eternal optimist. Um, it's kind of a long road getting into a relationship with ourselves where we, you know, see the progress and feel the hope and feel the confidence that, yeah, I'm in the right place, I've done the right things, and I'm going in the right direction. So, yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Um, my base nature as a child was happy-go-lucky. I always say it was the healer that was already there. My father called me harmony addicted. Uh, and then things happened, and I said the second personality, the business came on top that wouldn't allow healer to come out and play. And once I discovered healer back, all I look for is the happiness in my life. I don't even focus on the bad. Yes, things happen that sometimes you can avoid, sometimes you cannot. If you cannot avoid them, or if you can avoid them, sometimes they're a lesson for you. But for the most part, I find happiness in my life and chase it actually because why would I dwell on something bad or sad, or it makes life so much harder.
That's a good question. And certainly that's been part of what I learned through my journey. I think if I started out in a very defensive state, I wasn't happy-go-lucky in any way. And I think certainly that's the blueprint conditioning that, formed my early life. And so I was always afraid and hiding and, everything was going to be horrible. But life showed me that what didn't have to be true. And the more nervous system work I have done, the more I have the capacity to say, yeah, that was pretty shitty, but it doesn't have to shape me. So that's kind of it's a new stage of development.
Mhm. I find as when you get to the point that you are aware that there's happiness even in the bad things, there's beauty in the bad things in some way if you take the right perspective or right approach to it. Um, things that you cannot change that before would have drawn you or pulled you down and under, you are more accepting of them. You just go and say, okay, this is fine, this is happening, and I get that. Sorry, I have to close that. It's happening. And you're more reflective on it, but you don't dwell on it. So you look at it, what did go wrong? Was it preventable? Could I have done something else? Why didn't I do something else? Because usually there's a reason for us not doing something that we should do. And then you can let it go, while taking in the lesson in it, but not dwelling on the failure or the fault or the error much, other than this is my lesson and I take from it what I need. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's part of learning to be your own best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a developmental piece that has become really precious to me. Because certainly I was for many, many years not able to respond. I was not able to do what I should do because I had too many old blueprint patterns holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve, you need to be punished, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And those things do show up in our daily life until we recognize and process them.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things I found that's most important is patience and not expecting the quick fix, the
Mm-hmm.
quick heal. I'm perfect now, everything will be perfect going forward. But more, I think the gift I'm starting to recognize is the ability to be present with myself while I, process shitty stuff while I process good stuff. Then, from suffering to celebrating, being able to be there
Mm-hmm.
and just hold the truth of it. That's really, really important. I'm not perfect at that, but I'm certainly noticing that it is possible in some moments, and I really celebrate those.
We are all just human and we all carry all of that for such a long time. Like, even I, like, yes, I seem to have it all together at most times, but I don't. Honestly, I have days where I sit on the couch and don't do anything
Yeah,
just because I cannot cope.
yeah,
But it's not months, it's not years, it's now a day or two, and then I get back into whatever I need to because I just process differently and I
excellent.
realize differently what my signs are or why, and then giving me the time and again, the permission to be wallowing in whatever's going on is a big part of that, because I'm not shaming myself for not being perfect. And I don't want to be perfect, honestly, because it would be boring. Life
Well,
would be
well,
so
what is
boring.
what is perfect anyway?
That's
Who
the other
knows? But
part. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. One of the things I found is that yes, maybe I am in the dumps for a few days or a week, but I bounce back. I know how to get my feet back on the ground. I know how to bring myself back to coherence. Whereas, I mean, it was, I would be stuck in, ridiculous freeze patterns for years. So yeah, hey,
Yeah.
celebrate. I was only on the couch for a week this time. That's progress.
Yeah, and again, in our society where you go like, take that pill, it's done. That's not the way it works. We are peeling onions. We are peeling layer of layer of layer, and sometimes patterns come back just to test us how far we've come, how resilient we've become, and how much attention we pay. Or they catch up with us in a time where we're not paying attention, but we should be paying attention. So it's a warning sign.
Yeah.
But framing it as we're falling back into old pattern, it's a failure. It's never a failure,
No.
right?
No. And if we can recognize that, we're responding to whatever the signal the nervous system is giving us. And so if we happen to be on the couch, what's the signal? What is causing us to be there rather than, out creating all of this happiness and joy and inspiration?
Mm-hmm.
There's something that has been important for the nervous system to sit down and process.
Yeah.
Being able to recognize that as just this is part of the journey, you're a human being, rather than judging or saying I failed, is That's the gift.
Hmm. And I wish that more people would realize that there is no shame. Shame is only there if you choose not to do anything about it. If you choose not to change, if you choose to be stuck in your quagmire, and there's no shame if you are not able to get out of it. But as long as you're willing, right? And I just had the conversation with a friend of mine, that what I learned in my practice over the years is there has to be three states fulfilled in order to be any change be lasting. And that's you have to be ready, willing, and able at the same time. If one of them is not given, there is no lasting effect because you fall back into that pattern as you have not reached a point where it can be completely released. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, my work focuses on that kind of transformation using a nervous system lens because it really does help to explain what propels us forward and what holds us back. Because nervous system number one priority is survival.
Hmm.
If we are activated and responding to a signal of danger, we're stuck.
Hmm.
As we be able to create more safety for us to soften that signal of danger, then the next priority for the nervous system is growth.
Hmm.
And we can't, it's not linear.
No.
I mean, how could it be? So we're traveling this spiral, and the more we understand that and support ourselves,
I always say
the more we get.
yeah,
Mhm.
the path is not straight ahead. The path is left, right, up, and down. And that's the
Absolutely.
interesting part because you don't know what you discover in those corners that you would miss otherwise if it would be just straight
Absolutely.
ahead, right?
Yeah.
And somebody who is just just running to the goal and not seeing anything alongside the road, what life do they live?
Yes. And it's not really actually being present.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I'm sure we've all pushed ourselves through many goals and missed everything going on either side as we got to that goal and succeeded. But what did we miss?
Hmm. And what beauty and opportunity. That's the part.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
sometimes I wish just the journey would go on so you can find more along the way instead of getting to the goal and then what next?
Yeah, well, there's always something beyond that. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So we think, oh, well, this will be success and I'll be happy, I'll be perfect. Hmm,
Nope.
not so much. That's okay.
So you do EFT, and
I do.
I've learned the emotional freedom technique. I've learned about it in one course that I took, and the results that I saw with one of the co-students was very amazing because she couldn't even say the word exam without totally tensing up, no air, red face.
Yeah.
And after I think 3 or 4 rounds of tapping, she went, exams, what are those?
Yeah.
To see a change in a person that fast, amazing. Do you
It
want
is
to tell
amazing.
a little bit about EFT?
Okay. So EFT's been around for a little over 30 years, and it was a brilliant distillation of earlier thought field therapy, which was really complex. And so Gary Craig, the originator of EFT, built this recipe that is so effective. We know it's effective for anything from phobias to food cravings to PTSD and anything else you could possibly imagine. And so really, I think it has benefits in so many ways from therapists, from coaches, but also for self-use.
Mm.
And so I use it on a continuum. I use the kind of classic EFT model with my longer term coaching clients.
Mhm.
However, at the other end of the spectrum, I teach a lot of really simple tapping and energy psychology tools. The first thing they are is emotional first aid.
Mhm.
And I do that for a couple of reasons. I want clients to have power in their pocket. They can pull it out anytime they want it. But I also want them to have that capacity to create safety and stability in crazy moments. And I want them to have that between sessions because they can't call me at 3 a.m.
Mhm.
So it's the EFT offers the space for self-regulation, self-knowledge, self-growth, and then at the really more complex end, it offers, a tapping practitioner to help people explore the more complex things that are going on. So I think it's one of the most valuable tools that I've come across as, in the last 30 or 40 years when I've explored everything I could to fix myself.
I find it's so cool when you have the ability as a coach, a guide, or whatever, to give your clients the self-responsibility to take care of
Yes,
themselves, but at the same time, you're enabling them to be self-responsible.
yes, exactly. That's the important piece about being with someone as they navigate this journey of whatever it is, whether it's learning how to be compassionate with themselves, learning how to stand up for themselves, learning how to have their own back, learning how to accompany themselves and be accepting on the journey. So, I mean, all of those tools, and EFT in particular, is really a self-empowering technique, and it also just keeps opening up new possibilities.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's a big part of where the healing begins when you're not stuck in that hole anymore and you don't know where's left and right or up and down and you cannot get out, but you actually have something. And it's as simple as doing this,
I know. Yeah, it's
right?
wonderful.
Yeah. You said in the things you do, EFT havening, havening.
Havening.
What is that?
Hey, well, havening is a cousin of tapping.
Okay.
It was developed by two brothers, the Rudin brothers, who wanted to research what happens when you tap. And they did, and they found out, oh gosh, look, this also does the same thing in the brain. First of all, we know that tapping engages a neurological reflex to downregulate the nervous
Mhm.
system. That's all it does. But EFT, when you apply the questions and the
Mhm.
techniques, opens things up and helps the brain reprocess troubling events. So havening does the same thing. This is one of the motions, simply stroking the hands together.
Cool. I didn't
Just
know that.
notice, are they warm or cool?
Mhm.
Are they moist or dry? Doesn't matter the answer. We're just inviting the brain to focus on that sensation. That keeps the working memory busy and not thinking about the thing that bugs us.
Mhm.
And at the same time, the havening motion is changing the physiology and the biochemistry in the brain to deputentiate the troubled neurons.
So you're bringing in a somatic movement
Exactly. The
that's
somatic and
changing.
cognitive combination is really
It's
wonderful.
it's when you bring brain and body together, then you can create the healing because I find, and that's what I learned again with the burnout work, my own journey. Every time physical was not involved in the healing, there was no healing because a part of me was missing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the second havening motion. It's just stroking down the arm
Mhm.
or stroking the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we can combine the body mind, then there is real potential for healing.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can't talk yourself out of
No, we're
a
because
trauma.
you're stuck in that box and you're
Yeah,
going in circles and you cannot because you have no other perspective other than what's going on in your mind.
yeah.
While if you
So
have a different that's a different perspective here. That's a
it
different
is.
dimension coming in and it's shifting the narrative, right? Yeah, so it's
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, no, it interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you for teaching that.
I've done a whole bunch of different, healing modalities, Reiki and quantum touch and raw nutrition and all of that stuff, and they all had their place. But for me, the doorway into a relationship with myself that was supportive was the conscious EFT first, and the Havening plays a big part as well for me. So,
Can I ask you what when you were stuck in that overwhelm in your worst phases, what were your symptoms? Like how did it show up in your life?
I was irritable AF. I would swear at the fridge door. Everything was wrong. Now, I never had arguments with people, but inanimate objects took all my rage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was extremely stressed. My health was terrible. I didn't sleep properly. I ate and drank and shopped to keep myself busy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that really was not very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure what turned the page. I think it was actually a friend of mine was teaching a Reiki course, and I went to that. And I had an amazing shift. Like, wow, where was all of that turmoil that I was feeling before? Who don't have to feel it now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to say that I didn't ever feel it again, but that doorway opened possibilities to say, okay, if you're feeling, angry and dysregulated and you can't stop shopping, what might you do to recognize those are just urges of a threatened nervous system? And how can I just come home and be here safely?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the doorway. And then I explored a lot of stuff. And I finally recognized tapping was the most self-empowering for me. And I love to share it with people.
It's it I catch myself always saying it's interesting, but it is really interesting.
Oh,
um because for me it was the singing bowls. When I did therapy, no, I did Ayurvedic training, and in that Ayurvedic training, so that first and foremost was a changer for me because I went from being working in accounting to being back into what I love to do is healing work. But then I learned about the singing bowls, and the singing bowls allowed my brain to completely shut off.
beautiful.
And not in a way that it became blank, but thoughts came in and they just went. Because with the singing bowls, you cannot hold on to thoughts. It won't allow you. It just they come in, they're not important, they go through. And that was my savior because when I started my Ayurvedic training, I went in with a blood pressure of 140 over 120.
Ah, yeah. Been there too.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and it was the last 3 days of year end with Siemens, and the company doctor said, "Oh, we'll monitor you for 3 days, and if it's not better in 3 days, then we'll send you to the hospital." I think you should have actually done more than that, but at that
Mhm.
time I didn't know better. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was an interesting journey from there, and then the next part was therapeutic touch that came,
Yeah.
and it opened up the playing field again for more.
Yeah. 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 It's so interesting how these various techniques and practices just bring a new layer and a new perspective of understanding of what we need to heal. And yeah, so many dimensions and layers.
Yeah, and fascinating when you start digging into and you find something that you resonate with and you start playing with different aspects and get into more and
Yeah.
more. For me, starting the masters and taking 10 years to finish it was an interesting journey because a lot of my awareness, a lot of the way that I perceive things now has happened in that time. So my studying was actually my healing time too. I learned
Mm.
I just had learned Touch for Health, the first one, and started studying and at that time it was called complementary and alternative medicine, energy dynamics. But it it was so like the first course was supposed to be like 3 weeks, maybe a month. Took me a whole year.
And if that's the time it took, that's the time it took. I'm sure you got more out of it in that year than you would have in 3 months.
It brought up all the big blocks,
Oh,
everything that was holding me back.
yeah.
My prof afterwards said, if I'd seen what you were going through, I would have never have let you do that by yourself. But I didn't share. That was the other part because when I went to school or when I went to university, professors were not really the people you talk to unless you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my professor now, which I do my PhD with now, she's the most supportive person in the world, but she's an intuitive. So she's a trained nurse, she has a PhD and she does all those wonderful things. So when you talk to her, you're not talking to your professor. Often it's more an exchange. Oh, I struggle here, and she says, "Oh, I struggle here." So my expertise in other fields can help her while she guides me to what I need to go to. But it's a togetherness. It is not a top down. You have to do blah 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 blah, right? And that's what I love about having people in my life now, and that came over the years doing the healing work. People in my life that are supporting, that are resonating, and that even if we don't always agree, they always bring something to the table that makes me better in a certain way by having me reflect on what they're saying or bring a new perspective into what I have to say, what I do. And that might mean that I shift my whole thought process in the process, um,
Yes.
which is the best part. And again, that is one of the reasons why Ramblings of a Busy Mind happened, because I know if we start telling the stories, if we give people an inkling that there is something else than what they're in, they have the ability to change. They
Yeah.
have something that they can hold on to and make their starting point into something new.
Yeah, and we never know when those sparks are going to
Mhm.
appear, where what conversation, what kind of relationship is going to bring that spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned a resource for others, the map of being human. What is this?
My teacher, friend, and colleague Nancy Forrester, who runs the National EFT Training Institute, EFT.com. Um, she's been a really forward thinker. I've worked with her for a little over 8 years now, and she is bringing forth a more compassionate and understanding map of who we are as human beings and how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to the various energetic fields around us. And I've learned a lot working with her, and it continues to kind of blow my mind at thinking, yeah, who we are as humans is we don't need to be fixed. We don't need to judge, and our journey is as slow and subtle as our patience will allow.
Mhm.
And that reminder for me is really important because I do tend to be a go-getter and get this done and even, you know, fix this when fixing is not needed. But the map of being human has a really warm and resonating sort of framework for us to understand, certainly how we come into this world with our blueprint of issues, how our conditioning shapes who we are and how we react,
Mhm.
and how we can gently make shifts towards being a more fully open, present human for ourselves and others.
Mhm.
That's the short story.
That's a short story. That's a very short story. Um, I was at the women's place this morning where we do therapeutic touch sessions, and it was so interesting because usually the counselors are not very open to sit with us, and my guess is because they're more of the kind it's for them, not for us. We're not allowed or whatever. Even so, we're very inclusive. Like whoever wants to sit with us can go in a session. But today, both of them came, and both
Right?
of them afterwards were like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it can be so easy if we allow ourselves to take care of ourselves once in a while. And it doesn't have to be a
Absolutely.
full hour. It doesn't have to be a $12,000 vacation or whatever.
Mm-mm.
It can be a breath, or it can be just allowing others to work for us, on us,
Yes.
with us for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard, especially for the ones that do the work for others? Why is it so hard to give ourselves permission to be taken care of, or to take the care of ourselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, and certainly I think it again it depends on, the blueprint of who we think we have to be in order to be that helper.
Mm-hmm.
Are we safe enough to feel vulnerable and express our own needs? Don't know. Some might be, some might not be. Are we so overwhelmed by the work that all we can do is push ourselves through it? So a moment of rest and healing for them might be discombobulating, might open doors that they're not ready to open.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many subtle things going on for us that when can we allow ourselves to enjoy healing, to receive it? Good question.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a healing journey can open doors that are frightening.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was first doing this work, I would go to all of these shamanic events and these workshops, and I would have incredible shifts. And I would think, oh my God, this is perfect. My life will be perfect. But every time on the way home, my first stop was the beer store because I did not have the capacity to hold that healing.
I hear you. I hear you.
So I think it comes to capacity and, our beliefs about who and how we have to be.
And I also I think for a lot of them is the issue of they have to be the strong one,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I gotta do a short shout out to the audience. So if you like what we're talking about and if you find value in what we share, please like, share, and maybe subscribe. But please share it with people that can use it, because again, when we tell the stories are there to be shared. There are our old new teaching ways to show people there's different perspectives in their lives, and they can be changed, and this is why we do the work here. If you were able to talk, well, I know you were able to talk to your younger self being an energy worker,
Yeah.
what do you tell your younger self?
Oh, I would tell her that she is cared for, and whether she feels it or not, she's being looked over with devotion and care. All she has to do is hold up her hand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How often does it happen with your clientele that there is childhood trauma? Is that with everybody, or is that like certain
Well,
percentage?
I think we all carry the old stuff and it shows up in our lives today in different ways. So you may have had an experience as a child that shows up in your relationship with the mailman, in your fight with your boss. Those themes and dynamics show up in all kinds of different ways in our present day life. So quite often I will look at, so, okay, so what is showing up for you this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we take a layer off.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that I work in a coaching framework rather than a therapeutic framework is that what is showing up today, what's the truth of this moment? That's where we start. Now, if somebody comes in with the truth, like a 50-year-old thing that's in their mind, then we deal with it. But intentionally, I have found from this place of dealing with what's on top, what's coming up now, that starts to peel the layers off the old stuff
Mm-hmm.
in a slightly safer manner. Because if we can process the fight with our boss rather than something with our family of origin, it's less threatening. It starts to help the nervous system understand that we can be trusted not to go back into that big dark place too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reasons I work in that way, but I find taking the layers off is gentler. It increases the client's nervous system capacity to be present for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not saying, oh God, she's going to want to talk about that again. I really don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I work. And I find that it makes a lot of sense. And that's not to say that the deep therapeutic work going to the early traumas is not useful. It sometimes is necessary and it sometimes is very useful, but it's also useful to have this other perspective. I wouldn't want to go too deeply with someone who doesn't have the capacity or the support and resources to resource herself before and after that kind of work. So if we're looking at, a single mother with 4 kids, you do the deep work and she can't get out of bed for 3 weeks, that is not helping her
Mm-hmm.
recovery. So it's all about client capacity,
Mm-hmm.
where they are, where the resources are, what are they able to process in the moment. And if it's just how that thing showed up last week, that's ease. That increases that person's ease. It makes them more
You're
spacious and more stable.
you're basically giving them the choice to go at their own pace, which is a
Exactly.
really, really great thing because I find that's what I learned with my life. And anytime you had expectations from me to be in a certain way, I could not cope and I would not go that way. I would turn
Yeah.
my back and run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find that you working with people the way that you wanted somebody to be in your life working with you at that time?
Oh, yes. Interesting how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it
We
changed
end up
our
having to be our
perspective.
own, we end up having to learn how to be our own best helper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and again, our experiences shaping our world. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
but I always say even now I would like to have Natasha for me
Yeah.
because because it's interesting that you're able to see the bigger picture for others or to ask the right questions in my case because that's what I do mainly is you're in this you're like depending on if it's in person or online, but I ask questions when I hear there is something that's going on and then just give them a different perspective as a possibility and then they can follow up because I find with mental challenges when you ask questions it allows them for them to find their own way out of the spiral, right?
Absolutely.
Because there
Yeah.
is there is different input. um
Yes.
but still with my own life I'm sometimes so much with blinders and I have nobody who asks the questions. I have luck that I have great friends that I work together with that then come up with an idea or they say something and I go like, oh yeah, that's it, and then take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice to have somebody who puts me in a zero gravity chair, puts the balls under me, and then starts asking questions.
Well, I mean, I think we all need our own tapping buddies or helpers to ask questions because
Yeah.
at some points we just don't have the capacity to even think of there might be a question. So
Mhm.
yeah, I am blessed to have a lot of friends and tapping buddies and official helpers to help me on my journey. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Lately, it's become a therapeutic touch as I get
Mhm.
treatments from my I shot myself in the knees basically. I took my knees out. So I couldn't bend, so I didn't do much sessions. But I've gotten sessions from my colleagues, and it was interesting to get their feedback on how my field changed because
Yeah.
it's been so dense for quite a while and so much head. And lately is my friend said, "You're so light, I don't find you." It's 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 so interesting. You're there, but you're not as heavy, and you're very light, and it's very nice to work in your field. It's always nice to work. So she's always very kind. So she goes like, "It's always nice to work in your field, but it's so much nicer." Like, yeah,
Yes.
I know there has been a huge shift. But yeah, it's cool when you have those indicators and those validation points, and also those reminders there's other things happening or being seen by others,
Yes.
right? um and I find even working with somebody on a one-on-one level, often there's messages for me, there's insights for me when I do work with somebody else, because
Mhm.
in questioning them I have to think about my stuff too,
Yeah.
right? And reflection is a huge point in my life, um because it gives me the opportunity to look at what I'm doing, how I'm responding, if I'm reacting, and to change it around to the way I want it to be instead of being stuck in that role play and mask of this is how the world needs to see me. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when we can show up how we are without worrying about how we should look, that's the key to freedom.
With all the craziness that is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, amazing. Do you have how to say that? Do you draw a certain kind of people, like a certain issue, a certain field, or because I know I opened myself up for PTSD in 2014, and it comes into my life quite often. Um, and the other part is I said I work with mental health, so suicidal tendencies, depression, and anxiety are other things that are almost constantly there somewheres. Um, and you just talk normally to people, and all of a sudden you get that blurb from them where you go like, okay, yeah, welcome in my world. I ask you.
Yes, exactly. It's the resonance. Many of my clients are women on a cancer journey because I'm a team member for Megan Bernard's Flourish After Cancer program.
Mm,
So I do a lot of work with women who are post-treatment, trying to make sense and how to move forward in their lives.
mm,
My longer term clients are, women on all kinds of journeys. I've had a few men, mostly women, but really people who have done enough work to know that they're stressed, they're not responding the way they would like, they know there's an answer in themselves.
mhm,
And so accompanying people on that journey of self-discovery it's really rich, it's really inspiring,
mhm.
and it's just wonderful to be able to track the development
Yeah,
over time.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
say
I feel really
a few
blessed.
men. Do you see a change in men since the last few years? I
Yes.
find they're more susceptible and even more sensitive, maybe in one way.
Yes. Now, they've all been sort of younger, 30, between 30 and 40. And
Mm,
I think that particularly in that age group, there seems to be an emergence of um, more vulnerability, more ability to share their truth,
mm,
which is really important.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really necessary for us all to be able to do that, and men have been conditioned to be strong and silent and just get it on, get on with it. But yeah, they are affected as much as women are by the emotions, by life events, by traumas and illnesses and all kinds of things.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I find, especially, I don't want to say people wake up, but people become more aware of there's more going on in their life than just logic,
Yes. Yeah.
just competition.
Yeah.
Um, the subtle energies are more acknowledged, even intuitively these days than they were in the last,
Very,
I'd say,
very.
last 30 decades.
Yes.
Last 3 decades, and
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
as soon as probably as industrialism came into the world, and we were so focused on the logic behind things and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
engineering instead of
Hmm.
the subtle
Yeah.
energetic information that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But I like to see that because
Oh, it's
it's so
wonderful.
interesting when people tie into and are opening up for it, and the aha moments when they realize there's so much more information for us to
Yeah.
discover and explore and play with instead of being it has to be this way.
Yes, and it's really lovely too. A lot of mine have my male clients have been youngish parents, wanting to become good parents so that they didn't dump their old reactive patterns onto the kids. So I think that piece has allowed them to open up and do a lot more healing than perhaps if they hadn't become parents.
Mhm.
That was the spark that moved them towards this new awareness, new openness.
Nice. So I'm saying thank you for today. I think we covered quite a bit. And
Thank you.
again to the audience, if you want to reach out to Georgie, we have her information posted underneath the video, and start the conversation about EFT. That's one of the biggest things. Like EFT is amazing. I don't practice it as much as I could because I have my other tools that I resonate more with, but it's an amazing tool to start with and then get rid of the first holdbacks and then see where you're going. It might be
Oh
deeper into
yeah,
EFT or it might be something else that you find. But when you start somewhere, EFT is an easy and painless way to
yeah,
start into your journey.
it is. Lovely. Well, thanks so much, Natasha. It's been a
Thank you
lovely
so much.
conversation.
And I'll hope to see you soon in a private setting, in the hub setting in Nova Scotia.
Yes, that's great. I'm really
Let's
looking
get
forward to
together.
all of the things they've got going on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts untamed. Nothing ever stays the same. Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind. Ideas fade, all the shine. Oh, welcome to